work is easy because I use ClickUp. Here's how I keep track of all my tasks. I start by brain dumping everything I need to get done in a list view. Next, I set a priority and a due date to keep things on track. I create custom statuses to organize my progress exactly how I want it. I like to add the action items field so AI can show me the next steps.
Yeah, and it's Venom on the defense, reads that perfectly, flies up. Pug this time sends that clear. Safe for now, but no one to get possession. 4 Cold on the other side, no one to hold on to that. Venom, though, good read up the side, finds that, but it's a pass off to Plutus from the other team, and now it's just Pug and go, and it gets sent! That is hot at 2 points.
Magic. Hot, just really stepping up their game right now with 2 points on the board. Wow! I gotta say, they must have been listening because they are stepping up on this offense. I'm rooting for Hot here, Fintos.
You know, coming into this, I think rooting for Hot here is a bit of the underdog story because, you know, even though Cole didn't quite win their finals last time, they went perfect day 1 in the Pioneer Cup. And in tournaments before, non-VRML ones, they were exceptional and have generally been known to be the best team up until Ivy beat them in that Pioneer Cup. And so, yeah, you know, coming into this, Hot is the underdog story, and they're clearly showing off. But as I say that, Matt putting Hot back on the board, putting them back in the running for this round.
Cold stepping up their offensive play there and just getting that point onto the board. We are 1-2. Could this be an overtime, or could Hot just take this round entirely? We'll have to see here, Palador.
Yeah, very determinate possession here as Pebbles sends it over to Plutus. Plutus being cut off and almost going in still. Chasing down that ball is Pebbles, but Thomas overtaking, looking like an engine there, tank engine in fact, as Pebbles now chases him down again. Pebbles coming away with that ball, sending it leftwards to, looks like Matt's Stoning will be there to meet them. Bit of a pileup on the floor, and all the meanwhile, Dylan biding his time, maybe like a shark, just kind of sensing if he's going to have to save the day, but it will be Pug in the midfield, kind of resetting back and forth between these teams. No solid possession yet as the time reaches that less than 1 minute mark, 45 seconds in fact.
And in the midst of the action, it's something you might not realize when we're looking at the score attempts happening up front. You might not notice that the players come flying in just like Thomas. Spend a lot of time gaining speed in the lead-up. Small strategies you don't notice. Retro, what happened there?
We are neck to neck here, Fintos, as Cole does take that possession and scores that. And I think we're going to see another overtime here for a determined winner on Cold, or will Hot take this round?
Yeah, we're clearly looking a bit higher scoring here, quite a bit higher scoring. 4 goals compared to the few we had in previous rounds. But, you know, I'm all here for it. These are great goals coming in, great attempts. You know, alongside plenty of great saves. And now we are into that overtime. Shot comes in. Dylan saves that brilliant goalie, but there's no one back. Maybe not fast enough. Venom just there to recover that possession for now.
Yeah, dangerous situation here as we will go into another overtime. After all, again, guys, we just saw one of the longest OTs I think we've had on our streams, 5 minutes and 20 seconds a couple rounds ago. So we are right there again. We'll see, though, if that lasts just as long. Matt Sconing, but owning in the goal. Again, Dylan doing the dirty work. Venom, another attempt. Venom over to Pug. Pug from above. Pug right below. Matt's to the goal. No, heck no, it's Dylan. OD. He is in overdrive.
Yeah, wow, what a goalie, what an exceptional performance. There's plenty of great shots, and I feel like a lot more attempts on the goal from, wow, as I say that. Retro, wow. That is going to be the first on the board for Hot, the first game on the board for them.
Oh my. Hot really just fueling their fire right now with enragement. Just gotta say, Hot stepping up on that offensive game, just showing that Cold that, hey, we're gonna step up a bit, and maybe we can see them winning the next 2 rounds, and that would be incredible. It would be the longest game ever, Palador.
Yeah, we've seen so many long OTs here. That one a little shorter than the 5 minute 20-second or 21-second earlier on, but just crazy how intense it is here. This is the kind of cast and the kind of stream that you live for. If you're a spectator, if you're an audience member, people have to be loving that one. Seeing Jucifer saying, way to dig deep, Hot. A lot of people in there in the chat barking as well, cheering on that Hot win. And see Gooblin as well in the chat. welcome to it from Ivy. Again, sick games going on, long overtimes. We are going into another round here. Can Hot continue that streak, or is Cold about to freeze them over?
Yeah, I am looking forward to this. You know, and we're no strangers to things turning around here quickly in the EU scene. We saw it even in the finals of the Pioneer Cup. We saw Colds take a 2-0 lead round advantage in another best of 7, and then Ivy turned things around, finding the next 4 in a row, and finding a victory, which was an exceptional game. And we're seeing even more games with new strategies, you know, new teams, new players. And I'm all here for it. There's Venom, the goal's open, he drops it down, and there we go, that's first on the board for Cold.
Wow, what a goal!
Cold taking that first point there with an open goal right there. Gotta say, that was just incredible. With 4 minutes remaining onto the clock, Cold is in the lead, Palador.
Yeah, what happened there, Dylan was going for that ball on the read, but actually bonked his head on the bottom of Nest, so caused him to miss that ball and have it open and exposed for the goal. So unfortunate miscue there from what otherwise has been a stellar defender on the defense there. But sometimes, like you said earlier, Finto, those tiny errors are what the other teams are taking advantage of at this level.
Yeah, and it's about spotting those errors, realizing that, you know, Venom could have continued with what he probably had planned in his head, maybe a pass off, maybe flying that right up to the goal, but no, notice that, or realize that, those split-second decisions like that, almost finding a goal, not quite, not yet.
Now Pug will be there to calmly retake control of the ball, sending it over a bit far in the pass, but Venom does catch up to it, to be fair, and so does Fishy. Echo the Dragon with the clear out to the middle, but Thomas is there for Cold, dodging past Plutus. Thomas now on the approach for Cold on the offense, and we'll just send it over as Echo the Dragon gets the mitts on it. Thomas, nice ball control, carving around, dodging a couple defenders for at least a moment, and not a moment too soon. Echo is there for the retake.
Yeah, I mean, Cold are looking formidable at the moment, so are Hot. Both of these teams could be finals contenders, and I wouldn't be shocked to see either of them. Honestly, this is a finals level quality game. You know, we're watching here already as Pug takes that ball, sends it clear. Neither team can find a goal and hasn't for a few minutes, but Cold, I don't know why I keep saying Pug. Cold continues to be at the point advantage.
Well, indeed, and now what are we approaching here? 2.5 minutes, about halfway through the round. Cold, the lone goal so far. Trying to change that, though, is Plutus and Echo defending there in the midfield. Bothering Thomas just enough, and Echo, some more good defense, getting it past, now trying to pass it rather, but unfortunately, no one there except Venom looking for that ball, so nice take by Venom. Venom skating, carving along, eyeing the goal, making the goal in the eye of the storm. They are looking to take this away in round 5, up 2 with 2 left.
I gotta just say, rushing in a swish onto that goal with the score here, 2-0. Ain't looking too good for Hot here, but I think if they do step up their offense and passing plays and can get through that defensive play, and talking about that with the score from Hot, ramping up that offense there, Palador.
Not over yet, yet. So we are getting into the thick of things with 1:40 remaining, a 1-point advantage. Finto, this game has been crazy. Anything could happen here in these semifinals for the Ignition Cup.
Yeah, and we are getting close to the end. I believe this is match point for Cold. If they can find that, if they can hold on to this point advantage, they will find themselves in the finals. Hot want to keep that dream alive, want to keep things going, and want to find themselves in the finals, or at least find themselves in the next round at this point. That's all they got to focus on. That's all they got to think about in the next minutes. Plutus sends the ball. Thomas, that was nearly an own goal. That made me nervous. This is a nerve-wracking game to be watching. Another shot on the goal, not quite, bounces up the top, but as Plutus regaining control, Venom comes in with a tackle, and that's going to get clear, safe for now.
Oh, big opportunity lost there. Credit the defense of Cold going head on and coming out on top with that. Delivered right back into the midfield, the backfield, and then intercepted. Will be Echo the Dragon taking control, trying to send it backwards. Matt's going on the assault. Echo the Dragon comes away with it. It's defended by Venom. Venom now a great steal. Venom's had active hands all day here, and especially in this round. Coming away with that ball. Important possessions ahead, but scooting and skating right up the wall. Dylan able to send it to an intercept by Pug.
Yeah, and Pug takes that back up, sends that over the top. Who's at the back line to receive? It's Mats Koning. Send that nice stealing carve over the top. Okay, Fishy shadowing right behind. Thomas receives, drops that down, tries to bounce off the floor, but it's just a bit too high. Off the side, off the backboard, if you will. and it's into underneath the table. Thomas recovers possession, drops it down, spikes it down. Not quite yet. Time is not over. We still got 10 seconds. 10 seconds for Hot to find the last goal. 10 seconds for Cold to finish things off, to find themselves in the finals. This is what it's all going to count for. Okay, Fishy sends it, no one to receive. Punk takes it, and that is time.
Well, the battle of the elements has concluded, and it's determined that Cold is it. That they were, because ice was in their veins all day long. It was a low-scoring affair, start to finish. Look at that. The most points scored in any round by either team was 3, and that happened just once. Otherwise, it just crazy back-and-forth action there from these teams. And, yeah, Retro, how about that match?
Woo! Cold really putting out the fire there. That was just an incredible game, and just match series overall here. Cole is taking that win here to go into the finals here as just incredible passing plays, incredible just goalkeeping from both these teams. But if you're on Hot, just give yourselves a pat on the back, because you guys did get one of those match points from Cold, and you guys just really stepped on that game, and you guys really fought into the end, and that's just what's lovable at this game here, that you guys just fought, and you guys did amazing. But Cold taking the W here and winning in the elements.
Yeah, Finto, your thoughts on this match as well?
Yeah, I think this has been an excellent showdown from both. Hot coming in, a new team, and you know what, even if they don't find themselves in finals, maybe not so new, even if they're an older team, they definitely haven't been able to prove themselves just yet. Reaching top 4, though, is an achievement that no one can take away from you. And that most teams, the majority of teams, have not done and you know, won't be able to for a long time. It takes a lot of effort that Hot have clearly put in to find yourself in a position where you can go up against a formidable team, a consistent team like Cold.
Oh yeah, Hot has a lot to be proud of in how they showed up in this tournament. Kind of an X factor, you know, even ignoring again all the fanfare and noise in the YouTube chats and whatnot, which is tremendous to see, by the way. But even ignoring all that, just again a team, you know, that was able to make it this far compared to the Pioneer Cup. You know, they really showed up as kind of that again X factor. Definitely made their names known. But that said, when it comes to being known, you got the known commodities in Cold. They've been great for a long time here in the young age of Orion Drift. But they have done tremendously. They showed that experience that took them all the way to the finals last time in the Pioneer Cup. So if nothing else, not a surprise to see them here looking to reclaim a throne perhaps in the coming moments as we get set up for the finals here. So that said, we will take a quick break and do that. Yeah, anything else?
Well, I was just going to say, happy to report, happy to say that Ivy has beaten Zesty Zebras, and we can confirm that our finals will be Cold versus Ivy, the rematch of the rematch of the rematch of the rematch. These teams have faced each other in what seems like every tournament that has graced Orion Drift, including the Ignition Cup, where we saw, the Pioneer Cup, this time the Ignition Cup. Last time we saw Ivy snatched the victory. Yesterday, we saw them fight in round 6 of the Swiss bracket. These are two teams that are like rivals, head-to-head, always. It seems like it always comes down to these two, and it will, once again. What a match that is going to be.
All right, well, yeah, looking forward to the potential revenge storyline going on for Cold going to these finals against Ivy. So again, we will set up for that. We will take a quick break, and we'll be back to you here with our EU Ignition Cup finals of the day. Can't wait for it to happen. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Prepare to
Only
start.
Baron left alive. Where is Baron? In the spawn. And somebody's here.
Go.
Spud in the bottom going absolutely crazy, getting the 2-way.
Match point.
All right, hello everybody. Welcome back to VRML Ignition Cup here for EU. This is the championship game. This is Deja Vu here on day 2 and our second cup, in fact, because we have a rematch, Cold and Ivy once again. And once again on the casting booth, I'm Palador, being joined by Finto. We have also joining us, Gibular Bob here on the sidelines. How's it going, Bob?
Awesome, and I'm really excited, Palador. We're looking at a finale that we've already seen before, but I'm curious if maybe Cold are coming back with a vengeance.
Yeah, that's kind of the story here, Finto, right? A repeat of what we saw in the Pioneer Cup about a month ago. A big revenge game in Cold's case, a statement game for Ivy, because they came into that last cup as the underdogs, but I dare say this time Cold is the underdogs because of that performance in the last cup, where Ivy just impressed everyone so much. So really big stories there about, statements of can we beat the other team here as underdogs this time as Cold.
Well, I think so as well. Coming into this is probably going to be the most impactful match that's going to happen for anyone in the European scene of Orion Drift for a long time, and probably the most we've seen since last time these two teams faced off. These, right, are the big names, okay? These players are the big players. Everyone knows them in EU. You play against these teams in the Swiss bracket, and you're just like, oh no, how unlucky we are to be matched up with this, because for anyone else, it feels like a guaranteed loss. Both of these teams going nearly perfect in the Swiss bracket yesterday. Cold only losing one round, and that is up against Ivy themselves, and they managed to lose that 3-0, which surprised me even a bit. Okay, but I can tell you, speaking to Cold, speaking to Ivy, both of these teams are coming in here with full confidence. Both of these teams truly believe that they can win this, and they can win it well. And honestly, I'm looking forward to seeing who will be right, who will prevail, and who will crown themselves for a long time again as the EU champions.
Yeah, Bob, what we've seen here so far, it applied to the last few matches of OCE early on, and I feel like it's applying now to these last matches of the EU Ignition Cup too. We're seeing these top teams where we know there's a lot of offensive powerhouses on them, right, but we're actually seeing these really low-scoring games, these overtime games where it's going into OT 0-0 or 1-1, things like that. We're not seeing these 4, 5, 6-point scoring affairs nearly as much as we did a month ago, and I think the development of the defensive here has just been incredible.
Yeah, you absolutely love to see it. If I had to make a comment on the biggest gap I could see in Pioneer Cup, it was a lot of offense-heavy teams kind of struggled to bring it on with the defense. And so they would play so aggressive against their opponents that they didn't have to worry about putting on a good defense as much. But that standard has risen since we've gotten into the Ignition Cup, and so that's where you're really seeing these top teams have really worked on their defensive game. And now what you're really getting are these battles of attrition where you're getting down to, the team's just exchanging the ball back and forth. And whoever gets tired, whoever loses that energy first is going to have to contend with a pretty feisty offense.
Absolutely. I will say one notable exception I want to make to that, Finto here. Let's talk about Wee Laddie as well, because
oh, wow.
Despite everything we just said about the defense, I will say he was one particular standout in the Pioneer Cup. And it's not a mistake. Coming from that Echo history, he was definitely a force to be reckoned with, wasn't he?
Yeah, and Wee Laddie, we could see that. We saw that in those games. And we've even seen it a bit when we watched maybe a bit of Ivy here and there yesterday. Mm-hmm. Wee Laddie is a formidable player, of course, coming in with that Echo experience. I guess that brings with you maybe, not so much the mechanics, but definitely the teamwork, the game sense that you've got to have to make those brilliant plays, and obviously to predict and go for those brilliant saves. And honestly, as a player on the back side of the court, sitting back, you maybe don't notice them when the great goals come in, but those saves, oh my goodness, they are something to behold.
Well, indeed, and I think we're getting ready to start here soon, but if I do have a moment, perhaps I do want to mention, of course, we have the VRMLCon qualifiers coming up on June 27th through 29th this month. So sign up for that. It'll be a big lead up to, of course, our July 25th through 27th VRMLCon in Phoenix, Arizona. That's going to be taking place, again, at the end of July in Phoenix, be at the ASU Immersive get my paper here. Sorry, so unprepared. At the ASU Media and Immersive Experience Center. Going to be a stellar thing. Go to vrmlcon.com for your tickets and information. That said, we are booking our tickets to the start of our grand finals here in EU for the Ignition Cup. Let's go, Finto!
And yeah, what a couple of set of teams. This is going to be a great game. Best of 7 this will be. And it's Thomas starting things off strong, holding possession for the Cold team. We've seen them stay quite cool, calm, cold, and collected over there. Nice pass off to Venom. He's going to drop that back over. They're making sure to just play the possession game. Make sure that ball's constantly moving. They don't lose that to Ivy. Ivy can be formidable when they get it in their hands. And they pass that off. Gooblin gets a hold of it now. Gooblin, though, no boost to work with there. So he's going to forfeit that ball. But Wee Laddie off the backside comes flying in. Pug, though, on their own backside, on the Cold side of things for a good save. Recovers the ball, holds onto that possession. Teammates in good positions for passes. It goes up to Venom, but Pesky, out of nowhere, gets a hold of that.
Yeah, I've been talking about pesky defense all day for other teams, but this is literally pesky defense. A good steal and a good goal off of that. So the steal, the assist. Beauty.
Yeah, I mean, that was an incredible way to start with an immediate goal by IV. Love to see that early aggression. Up to Pug, and now it's back in the middle. Gotta say, it's quite impressive that we've already had a score at the start.
Yeah, maybe a little caster's curse, Finto, talking about the low-scoring efforts. I feel like it's been a while since we've seen early goals in some of these games, so that could be a telltale sign of what's to come. We'll see.
And I'm curious, I wonder if the slower scoring game is something that Cold plays in better to. I wonder if that's where they really show their best skills, and I'm wondering if Ivy's going to take advantage of that potential issue that Cold might have and keep that pace high, keep that force on constantly, not let them breathe, not let them take their breaks and keep their mental slow, positive, and steady. Thomas comes flying in here, though. He's not taking any of that and finds a goal. We are evened up here.
Air control by Thomas there. They did not lose that ball at all. We're able to really thread the needle and sink one into the IV goal. Cold are off to a good response against IV. The trick is to keep up that momentum. IV are a good passing team, so you want to keep the ball away from them as much as possible.
Zeno doing just that against the defensive Matt scooting along the wall. Zeno just trying to buy some time, perhaps. Doesn't really have the options to pass to initially, and it will be a turnover as a result.
And now Thomas and Wee Laddie will sprint race up the side, but Zeno is just waiting at the finish line to knock Thomas away. Wee Laddie recovers that, making his way up, but there's 3 defenders at home. There's Gooblin up in the sky, and he's not going to be able to receive that pass for now. Tries to take it up, but Thomas, he bounces that off the top. Wee Laddie gets a hold of it again, sends it at the back line. Pesky has the boost, has the time to take that up, but out of nowhere, Venom tackle again. He is doing good work to make sure they do not get close to the logo area here, but they're in anyway. Ball goes across. Yeah, nothing happening just yet.
I think Ivy trying to just settle down to their game a little bit. I'm noticing several of these passes consecutively have been a bit too high or a bit too far for their teammates to catch. And again, we see that sometimes in the initial minutes of a round. So not an unusual thing whatsoever, but just something to watch out for here for Ivy as they get into their set offense once more.
Yeah, and oh wow, that could be a long shot. That could be good. No, not quite, but who's going to make it back first? It will be Wee Laddie, keeping that nice and safe. I think you're right. Ivy, they're not playing their best game here. I mean, we've only seen, 3.5 minutes of gameplay, but already to me, this isn't quite looking like prime Ivy performance, okay? And they have the potential to bring that out at any point. They just need to find that rhythm, to lock into that positive mental, the good brain space they need to have it, and they need to be finding shots like that.
Beautiful save there from Pug and a really powerful clear, although it does go to Wee Laddie eventually. And indeed, Ivy, again, make no mistake, they performed out of their minds there in the Pioneer Cup, so we know what they're capable of, and Cold as well. So just trying to get, I think, worked into the offense. So we've seen this from a lot of teams and a lot of leagues and a lot of regions where those opening minutes is about more so calming down and forgetting about the stream, the cast, the viewers, things like that, the stakes, $1,000 portion of the $1,000 prize pool on the line here for these teams. So there's a lot to think about, and sometimes it takes a few minutes just to melt back into your VR headset and forget about everything and everyone else.
I think Ivy's one of those teams that has quite a volatile mental game, like their momentum and mental. In the Pioneer Cup, we saw them lose the first 2 rounds to Cold,
Oh, yeah.
right? In those finals, okay? And they came back, and what a comeback that was. It was impressive. It came out of nowhere. I thought that game was done and dusted after Cold found the first 2. It seemed like they were properly in the rhythm. But, Ivy, just locked on to what they needed to and figured it out.
Exactly, and then talking about Cold coming into this game as well, I mentioned it on our streams yesterday. Cannot recall who it was, but I know on the Discord following the loss in the Pioneer Cup, a member from Cold is, nice goal saved there, going back to Thomas, was Pug as well being contested. But it was a member from Cold saying on the Discord a very positive attitude about it. Just, they said, we kind of let up. We weren't quite, our mentals weren't quite there. We weren't used to losing so much. And it's just going to make us practice more. We're going to come back better. And that, again, that's what we're following here with Cold. They have something to prove, and the fact that they did not let off the pedal, that they're only coming back to show that they got better. They learned from their experience in Pioneer.
Yeah, I can tell you that they're a team that does that well. Speaking to Cold yesterday, almost a goal. Okay, not quite yet. We're in overtime, by the way, here. So the next goal will be confirming the winner of this very first round. But anyway, no! That's the long shot that is going to sting for Pug.
Wow.
Beautiful shot from out of the middle. It looked like Cold might have been able to work that one back down the field towards the Ivy goal, but that's the key thing I've been seeing from Ivy in this round. I will admit, they have had a couple of problems with their passing and some players being slightly out of position, but I think we're starting to see the rust wear off a bit. They're getting into their groove. They're finding their momentum, but they've always got a player like Wee Laddie or Gooblin towards the midfield or one of the alleys to collect the ball in case it gets sent back out to center court. And this goal is really, that final goal is really where that comes into play, because they're in the right spot at the right time. They were able to get a long shot in the goal, and at the end of the day, Cold was not able to respond.
And now with that minute up, and by the way, minute overtime, apparently that was. Again, thanks Ninja over there in the chat. But yeah, with that, not a lot of time to really re-strategize, but it has to be enough. And these teams, they know what they need to do. And right now, that's an easy one right off the bat. My goodness, Ivy.
Oh, the ankle's broken is not the way you want to see that round start for Cold. It's just not great defense against a team that's so offense heavy like Ivy. If Cold can really step up the pressure, they may have a shot at getting this back.
Yeah, what a beautiful move.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, those starting moments can be so rough. Sometimes you're so confident that your team might get the ball. You set yourself up for a good setup, like Ivy had there on the attack.
Again, just tapping it in, winning against that defense from Cold. You got to wonder, maybe we start stacking 2 or 3 people on that goal, just trying to get some good blocks and reset it back out to center field. You're going to have to try and tackle IV a little bit, but that one might be in the goal as well. Denied. We'll see if IV can get that back in.
We're seeing relentless offense here from Ivy. They're going at it again with another turnover cause. First there, it was Gooblin, and then it was Zeno, and now trying to get their offense going once more, but just a relentless assault. Not really a lot of shot attempts or possession time here being had from Cold on the other side of the floor. It's really just stuck here this whole time so far in this opening minute and a half.
Yeah, they're clearly on the back foot, and they clearly just need to get back to where they thrive. That attacking plays, those passes, those great shots. Thomas here has a chance. He sends it just a bit high. I wonder if they themselves are getting shaky with those nerves, because that is not the Thomas I know. Those are not the shots that I know he is capable of taking. And I wonder if maybe it's time for Cold now. They need to settle into their good rhythm.
Yeah, but Ivy definitely finding their rhythm, although Zeno losing the ball to Thomas. A good stun there, a tackle rather from Goblin. Goblin trying to hand it off to Wee Laddie, came speeding through, could not wrangle the ball quite there, as it will now careen into the halo. Pug is met by Zeno on a tackle. Pesky swooping in, missing the ball. Matt Skoning now with the brief stoppage, just to break some ankles, create some space up to the halo, now the bridge rather. Distributed there to the middle, but again, nice defense meeting them on the cross passes to deny the easy goals.
Yeah, now Gooblin has it up in the air. Pug goes in. They're fighting. They're clearly over in the Ivy side of things a bit more now, but maybe making a breakaway play here. And Zeno's the goal is open again, and no!
The positioning from Cold is really starting to cost them points. A hat-trick lead is going to be very, very difficult to work back against. And yeah, we need to see somebody staying closer to the goal from Cold, because this is how they've lost 2 points to IV.
A wild turnaround here in this round. I mean, again, we had a 1 minute overtime the last time around, and now that experience from Ivy, that championship, Pioneer championship experience from Ivy, showing up. They're just looking so calm now, whereas in the opening minutes of round one, Finto, we talked about a lot of those plays, those passing plays were just a bit too strong, a bit too high, kind of unforced errors, but boy, have they calmed it down now.
And it feels like, you know, the roles have completely swapped. It feels like Cold are the ones not showing what they're capable of. What we saw them do just, you know, oh my goodness, just recently, they were making great saves on goals like that, and I don't know what's going on here.
It's definitely not the way that Cold would have wanted their second round to go. But hey, I'm getting a little deja vu. Maybe we could see reversal, and Cold will start to lock in after this round. But they just need to start taking it by round by round.
There we go.
That's the way to start off.
There we go. So getting on the scoreboard finally, Finto, and that's maybe what you need to have a little bit of confidence built. You know, another factor worth mentioning too, Finto, is that this team in Cold, they just got done with an exhausting match against Hot. We had the 5 minute overtime and another 1 minute after that. So that could be a factor as well in these types of tournaments, right? The endurance.
Yeah, it definitely could be. And, you know, that closing goal in the closing moments of this game could be a good sign of good things to come, right? Because if you can find goals and maybe find another one, not quite, but, you know, if you're switching, even if you don't win this round, if you're switching the momentum, starting to feel a bit more confident and up in your game, you might not take this one, but it could be a sign of things to come unless goals like that come in.
You can feel that one coming, friends.
Again, we're just seeing Ivy able to run it down the field, deliver it right into the Cold goal. It's going to be difficult, especially with only 15 seconds to tie it up. You need 4 goals. This might be one. It is! So Cold not going quietly, but this round may fall into the hands of Ivy.
Time will wind down now. A couple seconds left. And I got to say, again, surprising round there, even just in terms of the scoring output. So I don't know if it's a endurance factor or a mental factor or both. But yeah, these teams, or maybe their offenses are just that good. This is the first time I think we've seen today on stream a scoring output like this. You know, 5 points, 7 combined, because all our other games have just been, again, 1 points, 2 points, maybe 3. I don't think we've even seen 4 or 5 scored until just now.
If I had to theorize, possibly, it could just be the battle of attrition. I know you mentioned that Cold just had a really, really tough game against Hot. When you were playing in overtime for so long, you do get tired, right? This is a game, the adrenaline can get so high, and the effort, you're putting so much in that, you know, once you really settle that round, you can be quite tired after. Maybe Cold are just running out of energy against IV. Hopefully they're not out of this yet, but they've got some work to do.
Yeah, I remember from the NA Pioneer Cup, we had Swag War, his team there, Crane Gang at the time, had competed in a long, I think, 5 minute overtime nearly as well. And he was mentioning in Discord afterwards, like, man, that one killed us. Like, it was so exhausting to just keep going those extra minutes without any kind of break with those endless volleys. So it's endurance, definitely a factor, even for the top players, the best players in the game. You're going to see that come into play in these long tourneys.
You know, one other thing I think that could be a factor here is the pace, because, you know, Orion Drift as a game is only as fast as his fastest player, and clearly Ivy are setting a high pace that Cold cannot keep up with today.
I'm just not seeing Venom commit to blocking too many goals. They're getting a lot of passes heading over their head. You just need to try, and I know they're waiting to see if they can time the block better, but it's just not working against IV.
That was a good attempt there. Everyone touching the ball in a kind of a triangle formation, Finto. But then when the shot attempt came out, there wasn't really any juice behind it. So again, I don't know if it's endurance or what, but just, you know, they're trying their best to break through this defense. But even when they do, there's just not a lot of that intensity or that fire that you're used to seeing.
Yeah, and, you know, I think despite being down this game, though, I think things might be slowly turning around for Cold. You know, I might just be trying to cope here. Upsetting to see a finals go so easily, but I don't know. I think we're seeing them start to spend a bit more time on the attack. You know, we saw them grab those last 2 goals at the end of the last game, and they're down a point. They're down, you know, in the way of games, but there's still so much potential from this top team contender.
Yeah, absolutely. Not down and out. Certainly, we saw it in the Pioneer Cup, right? Well, the reverse, granted, where it really was Cold in control for those initial rounds, and then Ivy coming back. So, you know, we've learned better than to doubt, as Matt now has an opportunity, goes to bat, but denied at that, as it will be a spectacular defensive play there. Zeno's slapping it out now.
Yeah, and it's Gublin who's going to get some space, taking that up. It's cleared by Thomas for now, safe away, but you know, they're not gaining possession, they're just getting it clear, and what good is that if Gublin can take that pass off a wee lad who's sitting on the back line, send it over to Pesky, send it right over to Zeno. It's not quite, but you know, it's not great. You need to regain possession like Pug is doing here. Maybe just for now. Yeah, he's going to take that up. He's got space. His teammates are getting in position. He takes it over. He's tackled, but it's up to Matt. He tries to send it across to Thomas, high speed, but Zenos even faster comes flying in. Now racing behind him, though, it's Matt who grabs onto the back, tackles at the ball, right for the taking. Zenos is going to recover, but Thomas, high speed, coming in, gets the tackle. The ball is just rolling about. It's anyone's here, right about this table, this sewer area, and Thomas is being ruthless with his tackles. He's constantly, and he's all over this ball. Maybe Venom now sends it across, but wee laddie makes a run, sends that over to Gublin. Gublin takes it up, but it's Mats Koning. Now there's a chance for Cole. Now they have the opportunity to do something. There's some players up. There's Venom down on the floor. It's dropped down by Mats Koning, though, and he cannot find the goal.
Yeah, Thomas sending it over to Pug, though, high. A big convergence on the goal, and then missing once there. Goalkeeper in the way. Wee laddie as well. Again, doing what he does. But that said, a lot of piles on the ball, and then just not able to form it into cohesive offense at the moment. The defense from Ivy really wearing them down.
Yeah, and they're keeping relentless here. They're keeping trying, but time is ticking down. Gublin finding space up, going up in the air, gonna shoot it down. Maybe, no, he's gonna just drop that. Maybe to Pesky. I wonder if this is a set strategy. The way he faked it, now it's sitting in the goal, and it is found for Ivy.
It's heartbreaking, too, because Cold were doing a really good job keeping the ball over on the IV side for quite a while. They've been putting on more pressure against IV, but when they get to the ball, they just can't get into the position to get it into the goal. And IV, they're great on reversals. They can get people over to the other side of the arena in a blink of an eye, and it's really working out for them.
Indeed, and in a blink of an eye, possession changing here fast. We only have 54 seconds left in this round here, Finto. And again, getting a little out of hand, but they can use any scores they can get because this is a best-of-7 series. But again, some unforced errors like that, just needing to calm them down. They need to see a shot go in, build that confidence here, because otherwise, again, Ivy is just coming in and they're taking care of business, the same business that got them that championship a month ago.
Yeah, but maybe Cold now has a chance.